The first segment of the Hot 7 Nightly News is brought to you by Flow.
Leading the way in election coverage. Hot 7 TV. Election Central.
Tonight, parties and candidates are in full campaign mode as talk of deals and jail time for corruption grab voters' attention. The NGP leader and his deputy warned that a vote for the UWP or SLP is a vote against cannabis reform. And the opposition St. Lucia Labour Party presents its manifesto. The details of these stories and more coming up.
This is the Hot 7 Nightly News with Lovelace and Amy Joseph.
Good day, it is Monday the 19th of July 2021. Welcome to the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. I'm Lovely St. Amy Joseph. Thank you for joining us. Today, Monday, the Ministry of Health and Wellness received confirmation of one new case of COVID-19 from a total of 120 samples. Contact tracing for this new case is underway. Confirmation was also received of the recovery of 15 individuals, bringing the total number of active cases to 105. Presently, one of the active cases is requiring critical care at the respiratory hospital. The new cases bring the total number of cases diagnosed in country to date to 5,481. Senator Chuck Schumer of New York has proposed ambitious legislation to decriminalize marijuana at the federal level, putting his weight as majority leader behind a growing movement to unwind the decades-old war on drugs. The draft bill, called the Cannabis Administration and Opportunity Act, would remove marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act and begin regulating and taxing it. Here in St. Lucia, advocates for decriminalization and legalization of cannabis say it is a disgrace that after 23 years of lobbying for cannabis reform, no government in St. Lucia has had the will to act. A vote for UWP or SLP is a vote against marijuana. So say National Green Party candidates Andre DeCaires and Aaron Alexander. They are livid following news that in the U.S., Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer proposed legislation Wednesday to legalize marijuana at the federal level. The legislation would remove marijuana from the Controlled Substances Act and introduce regulations to tax cannabis products and also expunge federal records of non-violent cannabis offenders. The interim chairman of the Herbal Cooperative and the political leader of the National Green Party, Andre DeCaires, says such news brings into sharp focus the failure of successive administrations here in St. Lucia on the issue of cannabis reform.
23 years ago, we submitted our project proposal to the SLP government. 23 years ago, in 1998. We have lobbied for over 2 decades, more than any other CARICOM territory. We have had 7 420 marches in 7 consecutive years of marching. We have been the most active out of all the CARICOM territories in pushing one's government to make that change, to make those changes in the Misuse of Drugs Act. We said, oh, it's America, what they going to do to us? Yet, Trinidad, Tobago, St. Vincent, Barbados, Dominica, Antigua, Barbuda, St. Kitts, Nevis, Jamaica, and even Guyana have leapfrogged us and have come up with some sort of cannabis law reform. Yet both of our administrations are unable to do anything. What a disgrace. What a disgrace.
DeCaires says St. Lucia is going nowhere fast when it comes to cannabis legislative reform under the UWP or the SLP.
They have probably 40,000 people out there who use ganja regularly. 40,000 St. Lucians probably use ganja regularly. Are these people going to vote? Are these people going to vote for an administration that is still going to send police to lock you up? Is that where your vote is going to be? We are at the back of the pack, the most embarrassing situation by our politicians. They don't know what the hell to do. And we're going into an election, and that is our choice. Please remember Mr. Lacobine and Dr. Kenny Anthony, just 5 years ago, not over my dead body. 5 years later, this inept government has taken 5 years and no bill to Parliament.
The former president of the Ayanola Council for the Advancement of Rastafari and National Green Party candidate for Castries Central, Aaron Alexander, urges cannabis users to vote in their interests.
And no right-thinking person who supports cannabis will support either of those political parties both of them have jailed us for decades. They've been jailing us and brutalizing us and killing us and burning our plantation. Both of those parties are guilty of such. So how could somebody who supports cannabis, marijuana in their right mind vote for either of those parties there right now when you have a National Green Party who supports the cause and is very much leaning and is pro-cannabis legalization? So we must not be hypocrites, we must not be traitors, and vote in what is in our favor.
The two NGP candidates say the only true advancements towards cannabis reform and legalization will come when its proponents have seats in Parliament. Stephenson King is in full campaign mode and none of his former colleagues seem to be safe from his wrath. He says in a bid to present full transparency and accountability to the people of St. Lucia, he will call out the corruption of his former colleagues. On the issue of St. Jude Hospital, he has called for people to be jailed. Stephenson King was certainly firing on all cylinders on Sunday during his public meeting. He took aim at his former cabinet colleagues. The former UWP minister turned Castries North independent candidate has called for people to be jailed in connection with the long-delayed delivery of the St. Jude reconstruction project. King suggests that the project was stalled deliberately for dubious reasons.
We came back and we stopped the project, demolished buildings, found reasons why it must not continue until it lands in the laps of Fresh Start. And we spend millions and millions of dollars on this facility, and to date it cannot open. They must go to jail for that project. They must be jailed for that project. Because to date they cannot finish it, and they cannot tell you how much they've been spending on that project, with Fresh Start being the main contractor.
According to King, the price tag on the St. Jude project skyrocketed, and the people of St. Lucia deserve answers as to why.
A story that is going on, a true story, not fictitious, a true story. The foundation of the St. Jude Hospital was valued at $3 million. It ended up at $9 million. $9 million for a thing that should have been $3 million.
Notably, King also received endorsements from the man who previously challenged Alan Chastney for the leadership of the United Workers' Party, Claudius Sprayville.
I endorse what he's doing because of the wickedness of the current administration. I endorse Stephenson King because Stephenson King represents the only hope for St. Lucia. You know, Alan Chastney and Guy Joseph, they will destroy this country. They say they're building a new St. Lucia. Yes, they're building a new St. Lucia, but for whom? They're building a new St. Lucia for themselves. They're individual persons. They're companies. They're the only ones who benefit from everything the government does. The Honorable Stephenson King has suffered and endured a lot of rebuke and embarrassment in this party. And he suffered all this for your sake. You know why? Because you are his constituents. He was representing your interests, and he went through all this ridicule at the hands of the United Workers' Party.
Alison Jean, former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure, also gave King her endorsement.
I am here to stand up with the Honorable Stephenson King because I am not only a resident of Kareli, I worked with Honorable Stephenson King while he was Prime Minister of St. Lucia. I served with him, and then I became his permanent secretary from 2016. And I can tell you, when Honorable Stephenson King 2 Thursdays ago made that announcement, Ibamwe, 1 punch in my chest. You know why? He has now given me this voice tonight. Because if Honorable Stephenson King, after taking all what he has taken, and I have seen it firsthand, if he stood up on Thursday night, he is saying to all of you, let us stand up too.
King remains confident that even outside the UWP party structure, he will be victorious, as he believes that people will rally behind a principled move to stand against corruption and put the country before the party. He will have to contend with the UWP's candidate Janine Girodi McIntyre and the NGP's Daisy Ann St. Rose to clear a path to making political history in St. Lucia as a successfully elected independent candidate. Well, from all indications, the claws are out as St. Lucia gets down to the wire for elections 2021. While Stephenson King is going all out to assure voters that he is on the side of integrity and patriotism, calling out his former UWP colleagues for corruption, his former colleagues are not taking the attacks lying down. Leonard Montoute has launched his own scathing attack on King, calling him compromised and painting him as a puppet. Stephenson King has indicated that there are good men and women on both the United Workers' Party and St. Lucia Labour Party's sides, and that among the few good men within the UWP, there may be others who will break ranks with the party. Many speculated that King was referring to Leonard Spider Montoute when he made that statement, given the long-standing rumors of Montoute's discontent with political leader Alan Shastney. The incumbent Gros Islet MP is vehemently denying the speculation that he too may be poised for a departure from the United Workers' Party. Montoute says his issues are dealt with in-house and says that unlike King, he has no plans to play act and then try to blindside the party.
I'm not a dishonest person. I'm not one that will make you believe one thing while I'm thinking and doing another. And so to associate me or to want to insinuate that I am involved in any such plan or deal, as I call it, is absolutely, I mean, let me just say this to you. My mother always used to say to me that people judge you by their own standards. So whoever say that there are others ready to cross is making an admission that he has crossed.
Montoute further warns St. Lucians to be careful with the deal makers who he says may bring the country into disrepute.
What if we end up in a tight, dead heat situation? What would happen should Richard Frederick and Stephenson King win their seats? Who would become the Prime Minister? Because we know they would lean towards the St. Lucia Labour Party. Would Stephenson King be the Prime Minister? And we know all what Labour has said about Stephenson King. Would Philip Pierre, as weak as he is as a leader, would he become the Prime Minister? Or would Richard Frederick become the Prime Minister? I ask you to consider those prospects and ask yourself whether you're willing to gamble and take chances with the future of this country and put ourselves in such an unpredictable situation. I am saying to St. Lucians, we have to be careful that we do not allow deal makers to spoil what is going on in this country.
He took his former cabinet colleague and the former Prime Minister of St. Lucia to task for being compromised and ungrateful to the party that elevated him to the post of Prime Minister.
Let me acknowledge and let me declare that I accept and respect his right in our democracy to do whatever he wants to do within the law. And so whatever he did, it is within his right. However, the manner in which he did it, I take strong objection to it. And I'm disappointed in him for having done that. I made the statement this morning, and I'm going to make it again. Stephenson King should not treat a party that took him from being a messenger to becoming a prime minister in that manner.
Montoute argues that with the United Workers' Party, the electorate knows what it is getting, but with the moves and counter-moves being made within the St. Lucia Labour Party, too many variables are up in the air. You're watching the Hot 7 TV Nightly News. Stay with us, still to come. 3 armed robberies in 3 days. Common entrance results to be released on Wednesday. And 116 cruise visitors were welcome to St. Lucia today. That and more after the break.
The first segment of the Hot 7 Nightly News was brought to you by Flow.